Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Um, and let me go to the YouTube. Make sure I silence it as well. But we're back on our scheduled Thursday mornings. Today was kind of interesting, kind of rough for me. I ain't gonna lie. I missed my schedule, my shift this morning. I was so upset.
Well, that kind of goes with the Five of Hearts, right?
I know that's what I was thinking. I was like, what do I have today? Like, I'm very kind of everywhere. And I forgot my wallet. So that's really what it really was. I forgot my ID. It has
Wow.
happened a couple of times. And the only thing I hate about Amazon is you have to have your ID. But I got there and I looked at my card. I had the tour clubs, and I was asking him like, so you can't put my information in. Then I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna. No, I called customer service. I was telling her that I forgot my wallet. Like you can't put in the information. You can't cancel my order for me or my batch. And she was like, no. And I got like so upset. And I was like, you know what? I was about to start asking her a question. I was like, I'm not going to debate with you.
You're going to argue. Yeah, you're about to argue.
Like
Two
I'm
of
not
clubs.
gonna,
Woo.
I'm not going to, give you my emotions this morning because I can totally take it out on you, but I'm gonna just let it live and just drop it. All right. So I hope you have a nice day. And I'll leave all my emotions to myself to deal with.
What is your for Thursday? What is that? What day is that for you?
Mercury.
Ah, okay, so you're born on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see which age spread it is. Do you look at your age spreads in your weeklies or just the weekly cards? Or how do you look at?
I look at it all. I mean, I look at everything. It's almost obsessive. Um, but yeah, the uh the today actually, so Thursday is my Jupiter day, and today collectively is a Ten of Spades day, and my card is a Ten of Spades personally.
Oh snap!
That's been happening more recently. I've noticed it, whether if it was the same card or the same, like if it was a 2 day, I had a two card. But I want to say actually more recently, my cards have been lining up to the day, the energy of the day too. So that's just been something I've noticed. I was like, wait a minute, that's today's card and that's my card. So, and it makes sense why I have a 10 in Pluto as well. I told you the 10 of clubs thing. So I'm like, I can't, I gotta sleep. Because that 10 energy is big. It's a lot. And so a lot of times we can, like I told myself today, okay, just just keep going. Like, because I just want to go to bed because I haven't been sleeping. So but I'm like, you have work to do, just persevere, stay with it. I had to like kind of pep talk myself this morning to like get up, go, like, because I'm real tired. And so that, just really kind of thinking just staying the course with that energy, because
Mm.
I could go to bed.
Do you know which age spread you're on?
Give me 1 second. Let me look on here. Actually, I'll just look on here.
I'm on age spread 38. Um,
Let me find me. I don't
11.
remember.
And I did post a tutorial of how to find your days for
Mm-hmm.
people that are interested in case anyone logs in.
I
Actually,
am
actually, I'm not 11. Actually,
two of spades. Actually, on my plate that I'm on, and I'm going to give you the number right now, but it's the one with the three of diamonds in the sun, not the same.
64, 65.
Yeah, I think so because I'm past the spirit spread. So yeah, I think it's 64. Whichever one has the three of diamonds in the sun.
And she's not 64. We're looking at the weekly. Like I'm
Yeah,
like 38. I think I'm 38. But so the way
I
that
mean,
the
if I look like this is 64, I'm doing something right.
I know, right? If I'm looking like this at 38, I know I'm doing something right. Mercy. The I'll be I, I be at the work and they always get me confused with the students and everyone else. I'm like, no, but
Oh, you
I
because you got
dress
baby face.
I dress really casual too, just to blend
Yeah.
in sometimes with the students because just just so they won't feel awkward and things. So
65. Yeah.
65.
Hmm.
Um,
See that Queen of Hearts and Venus?
60. Yeah, I see it. The Seven of Hearts and Mercury too. Seven of Hearts, Queen of Hearts. You starting off with hearts, wow.
All over the place, yo. It's crazy.
Mm. And then the Queen of Hearts has the Ten of Clubs and Mercury.
I
As
know.
well. So and that's all, they they can. I assume they can talk, right?
But it's I have a nine of clubs in Mercury. I mean, but it's like really dope conversations, not like stupid surface level stuff. Like we and it's because we will bounce. Like it's really interesting how we start talking about one thing and the next thing you know we've jumbled around and we'll circle back around. It's just we realize we could definitely spend a lot of time talking.
Yeah, and nine of clubs and the Ten of Clubs, they say both of those cards are really good as far as teaching. I think the Nine of Clubs does it without thinking. And I think the Ten of Clubs is more intentional.
Yeah, I
The
agree.
Nine of Clubs is like more of a helpful, giving you
Like
type
I
of.
want to like I want to yeah I'm doing this. Like I remember I said something like, oh my god, I just want to, like, I think he was dealing with not feeling well. I was like, oh, I could give you so much, and for how I am about health and herbs and holistic healing. So, and I was like, don't, because I was like, like I had so many things and ideas, and I didn't reserve, but it's just like that innate like wanting to give all this information that I know about how you can recover, how you can heal. So it was, yeah,
Mm.
definitely.
Yeah, especially with the nine clubs, nine of spades, and you don't move. I think that's so. I always think about look at fixed cards as far as like how they feel about information and knowledge, and because you're so fixed. It's like, have you always been like that, or was it something that kind of grew?
Oh no, I'm a whole app. Like I'm a whole, like, you're not gonna get me to move. Like, but I've gotten better. I have gotten better of not being so fixed on my ideas and how I've learned to let others be, like, they're not going to look at it the way I will. That's probably been one of my biggest lessons about my own energy, is that they're not me and they're not going to do it the way I'm going to do it. And so I've had to let that, like, because you want to help, you want to help them see, no, don't drink that, that's bad for you, you need to be drinking this. And then I realized I can give you the information, but what you do with it is on, you know what I mean? Like, I know of my past relationships, that was one of my biggest like battles, was like that, the choices um that were being made via their health or their diet. And I was, like, I couldn't understand, like, I have all this information for you, you could help yourself, but you wouldn't. And that was hard to kind of swallow for me. But that's, I think what I've learned is, like, I have to just, I'm going to do me, right? And I'm going to live my life, and I'm going to, make my choices, and I have to allow others to do them. Now they can, if they want to learn and see what I'm doing, I can then, I can't, because in human design, being a projector, I have to wait to be asked. Like, I
Oh
can't
my
just
gosh, I hate that.
bleh, all this information that I want to give.
Yeah,
I
I
got
hate the projector uh, type. Because I'm a projector. Like I hate being the projector because I think as a man, it's like wait. Like, what am I waiting for? Like nobody wants anyone that's just waiting, and not to say that you even have to wait in the relationships, but just like that essence and that concept of being offended and and like you said, being invited to the conversation and those particular. It also says, oh, you don't have to wait for everything as well, So don't take it as like a day to day, but sometimes it feel like that, even like important things, like I was talking to someone the other day. I was like, yo, can you contact me with this such and such person, for this particular job? because a lot of things in jobs and your relationships is based upon the invitation, your network.
Mhm.
So it's like, you got to put yourself out there. You got
Mhm.
to speak and you got to talk. I feel like the 359s are somewhat of like projections, of
Mhm.
where they have to kind of live life a lot of time, but not like as far as like waiting on the invitation, but that concept of projecting almost,
Mhm.
or speaking and talking, in certain type of ways. That makes sense.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. It does to me because I realize like because I do have a lot of information and I want to help like being that Jack of Hearts. I really it is that like trying to save energy. And I realized like not everybody is like it's okay. Like you can't save everybody. More importantly, you have to save yourself. And I don't mean like in that like, but you know what I mean? Like just do you, and whoever wants that information will come and then you can give it to them, but you don't have to force feed it to them either. And I
Hmm.
think having that 9 of clubs in Mercury, you want to like it can be like vomit of the mouth, like a lot of you're over giving, you're oversharing, you say the same thing over and over again. And I think that's a big part of that too, is learning that and having those boundaries. Those nines have to have the boundaries to when to say no and put a period, nothing else behind it. So, and even though, like, if we look at the 5 of Hearts spread, they have those nines, and it's interesting. You look at they have the 9 of Hearts in Mars and a 9 in Pluto, and we know Mars and Pluto that co-ruling energy, and you'll see in a lot of the spreads that the Mars cards and the Pluto cards are the same number, right? You also see
Hmm.
the Venus and the Neptune can be the same number. The
Hmm.
birth card and the Saturn card will be the same number in certain spreads. So I tend to look for things like that. I'm very much about the patterns and how
Hmm.
that connects. To have those nines in Mars and Pluto, like that's a lot.
Hmm.
That to me really gives you a better understanding of the 5 energy, because if we look at fives as a spark, a change, of seeking more, because that's fives, right? They want more, they're seeking something. That means they have to let go of the old and the things so they can make space for that more, right? Having those nines in Mars and Pluto. So I think that's key to this energy, is because that's like if we look through their spreads, 2 3s, a 9, a 7, a 5, a queen, a jack, a 9, a 7, a 2, a king, a jack. Those are more odd numbers, right? We know odds can be more challenging. They could show up as like squares in astrology, right? So and squares tend to be more of a challenging energy. But I feel like with that, when you accomplish, there's just more like I did that. You know what I mean? Like I got through that, and I'm even better, right? I see it like that because it transforms into a Jack of Diamonds, which is an initiation to something even higher. So everything that it goes through is really to bring you to something better, and that's kind of how you have to see it. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah, and a sense of freedom, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, letting go, the evolution as far as like life, um, especially having those nines, and it's a long journey as well. Like you said, like completion and fulfillment. I think sometimes it's hard with those nines, and satisfaction as far as desires. I think,
Mm-hmm.
with those nines as well. And like you said, my mom is a jack of diamonds. That particular energy is, I think, is, I wouldn't say wants to take over the world, but they have to explore. It has to have a sense of freedom that's
Mm-hmm.
attached to that particular card.
And if you notice too, like I said, I'm very big about the patterns of these cards and these cards that travel like with each other. Um, 3 of the 4 jacks have a 5 either behind it, crowning it, or right, next to it. The Jack of Spades, to me, it might not have any fives, but it's the Jack of all jacks. So it has it in
Mhm.
there, innately. Um, and we see because to me, the fives represent the spark that is going to bring the change that leads to the initiation,
Mhm.
right? And so they kind of, and to me, threes, fives, and jacks are the kids, the play, the fun, the change, the seeking more, and it really is actually, when you really think about it, it wants to bring you to more maturity, more growth, more opportunity, which requires us to grow, which requires us to let go of old habits, old ways, old thinking, old emotions, so we can make space for what's even more for us. you know. And
No,
even
yeah.
this, like, we remember how I just said the birth card and the Saturn card tends to be the same. Well, here it is in the Five of Hearts spread. The Five of Hearts is the birth card is the five. Saturn card is the Five of Diamonds.
Let me go to the spread. I'm trying to share it. Let me see.
Like, to me, that, this is that gypsy card, and those nines represent that. Like, it's a big energy of being free, being unattached. That's a big part of that nine energy. It's universal. So the Five of Hearts, when it can really lean in and not resist the everlasting change energy that it is, it knows every time something shifts, every time something is moving in a different direction, it's ideally to bring you to something even more aligned for you. But that's those nines teach you that even if something is ending, you really do have to kind of have that faith that it's bringing you something even more. I like to call the nines or the light at the end of the tunnel. And you either are going to choose to stay in that tunnel, or you're going to choose to go to the light, the new opportunity. And that staying in the tunnel is like the holding on, the resisting, the letting go, and now you close yourself off to the more, because you're stuck in that holding place, right? But if you can see that if it's being removed, or if it's being ending, you've reached a point of it no longer serving you, and so it really will bring you more freedom, because it opens you up to, like I said, have more.
And I have the threes back to back,
Right.
so that in itself is like that restlessness, occupations and jobs. And I also think about the 10 of clubs a lot of times, as far as like working in jobs, or the 3 of clubs, 3 of spades is holding on to jobs that's like outworn, that's
Mm-hmm.
somewhat demeaning, like you said, having to let go of maybe certain occupations or jobs, that doesn't fit them no more, or even just relationships as well. I just ain't gonna start acting weird. I try to do something new.
Well, this is a very, I don't want to say, I don't know if quirky is the right word, but because they have those 2 3s, they can kind of really be all over the place, or into a lot of different things. So that's where I can see a lot of, I don't want to say unstableness, but there's options with that energy, right? Because it wants us to diversify. It wants us to have more. At the highest, threes are very creative, very expressive. So this energy could come off as being a little weird or strange to others, because you're not really sure what direction they're even going into with those threes, right? So, and I think it's important for the five, because if you look at the challenging karma card is a 4. So getting grounded, following through is going to be the key, right? Staying focused, because those 2 3s can sometimes be unfocused, because you're like, oh, I like that, and I like that, I like that, I like that. And if you don't ever follow through and complete the stuff, now you're just a bunch of spinning energy, with no like, anchor, no foundation. And since the challenging karma card is a 4, the 4 of diamonds, it's really imperative that the 5 stays focused, gets clear. It doesn't mean you don't tap into the, you're not busy, because that busy keeps you going. It keeps your creative juju flowing. But I feel like you still, like, let's say you get an idea along with the 17 other ones that you probably have, but you have to make sure you're following through with those, right? You complete the things. That's, I feel like, how they get that satisfaction, of that 4 of diamonds as their challenging karma card.
Yeah, and that's why I was kind of talking about the restlessness, and the 3 of clubs actually transforms into the 4 of diamonds.
4 of hearts.
4 of hearts. No, I meant where the 3 of spades
3 of
transforms
spades. Yeah.
into
That's the thing. 3 of the 4 4s transform into 4s.
fours. Yeah,
Right.
right.
I'm sorry, 3 of the 4 3s
Threes. Yeah.
transform into 4s, which
Fours.
is really telling of them having to
I
stay
mean,
focused, getting clear, getting organized, because they can be scattered.
clear plans, clear ideas.
Yes. And
Um,
executing them.
and
That's the biggest thing, is following through and
I'm a
executing.
3 of diamonds. Like
I know.
I've had like so many different jobs, occupations.
Mhm.
But it's like, how long was I working there? How long did I complete it? How long
Hmm.
was I attentive? And a lot of things I was had a lot of potential. If I followed through, I use my spiritual guide, the Two of Spades. They are natural magicians. One is in the chat. I always want to advertise her because she gave me my first reading, but she gave me such Pisces energy. But it is a space. She just doesn't like. I feel like sometimes our elders could be like so known and so well known based on the work and experience they have, because there's a lot of people on here that have the information, but they're so like they don't have the experience. Like
Hmm.
you can't throw away the experience and intuitiveness that, especially to a space. Like I can't even think just to think about the honor of. I didn't even know you were to a space. And her name's Candy, but she's in the comments. But just to think about my one of my first opening up, I was talking to somebody last night, um, uh, and it was a seven. It was like, yeah, this is like my first time. Like you popped my cherry. I'm like, this just is such a seven thing. But yeah, I was like, yeah, that was like the first time I ever got a reading, and like I almost came to tears. I was like, she read right through me.
Hmm. Hmm.
But and she'll tell me the same thing. You need to follow through. You need to go back to school. Like, what are you doing? But I've always got that pressure. I think I was born under the Queen of Spades energy. I look at the time period that I was born, and it
Hmm.
was under that Queen of Spades energy. But just since I'm a three, the follow through and completing your plans and your actions, having a clear vision and clear view, because you can have a lot of ideas. But I think a lot of times with threes, that's why they're probably good like speaking and talking and consulting, because a lot of the ideas may not even be for them. It may
Right.
be for other people as well. Because of like, how can you do everything? But you can if you have a solid plan and follow through. Like I know for Spades, he has like five different businesses, but their
Hmm.
reward, their Pluto is the five of hearts, and their reward is three of clubs, three of spades as well. And so yeah, with those threes, you got to have a follow through in the plan with that three of spades, and three of clubs. As I was saying earlier, if you don't, what's the result of the five of hearts? Because they're so money focused, and they need that foundation. They have to stick to it. That stick to itiveness with their four diamonds challenging them. You can get someone that can exhaust their energy.
Hmm.
That's like you said, really scattered mentally. And like the Ace of Diamonds, this card also is like with love and money.
Hmm.
It has
Hmm.
that those two concepts of if the money isn't there, then they may not be feel solid to have like the relationships they want, or
Hmm.
it can affect their emotional well being. I think anything within Saturn comes with your confidence,
Hmm.
your reflection of or how you feel about yourself and the world around you. So it's always a reflection, I think, of your relationships and certain insecurities that can kind of come up. It's like a man not being able to take care of the house because he's because she don't understand him. She don't know what's going on. He has no confidence. Like can I depend on you? Like what's the dependability um, factor? I think with this particular card, and also good, and that can be very good in business. Those that is one of the cards. Like if you have the confidence, it can be very good as far as like business and going out and projecting or talking to people. It's like the wanderlust or the or the gypsy. We call it a
Hmm.
gypsy.
And I mean, that four of diamonds as their challenging karma card to me is like, they're here to actually have financial security.
Mm-hmm.
They're here to build a solid foundation. They just got to get like down to earth. They have to kind of bring it, stay focused. That's huge with the four energy, is getting clear and staying focused and execution. So the five can't, like, if they're scattered and those threes are like really, ignited, and they now so that's the thing. We know there's highs and lows. The threes they can be very expressive, fun, playful. They're like kids, they have a lot of fun. It's not a serious energy. And so that's a big part of that five of hearts. It's playful, it's youthful, it's fun. It's those two threes off the rip. But
Experience. Yeah.
huh?
they need the experience. They have to have
Yes,
the,
but at some point, they have to get clear. They have to get solid. They have to execute all these creative juju flowing stuff happening, right? So if they don't, they're just gonna be like a feather in the wind, just floating along, never having that solid ground, that anchor, that foundation. And they really, 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 and since we're collectively in a Five of Hearts week, it's for everybody too, because you really, really have to trust the flow, because you have a five in Saturn, you have those nines, Mars and Pluto. That's a constant. Think about nine and Pluto is like cycles of things going out, but also represents cycles of things coming back. So that's really what that five of diamonds and Saturn says. If you stay consistent, because that's Saturn is like consistent discipline,
Mhm.
putting in the work, um, you'll never be without, because if it's flowing out, it also is opening you up to have more flow in.
Mhm.
And that's a big part of that energy, right?
Yeah, and as a gypsy, I think you learn on the go and on the fly as well.
Yep.
Being confident.
Yeah, you can totally wing it.
Yeah.
And I'm the queen of winging it. So, like for real, I've winged my whole life, y'all, and
It's
I'm not
gotten you
that
far.
off.
It's gotten you far. You
Excuse
blossom
me.
pretty well.
It's literally a
But
wing.
would you, and I was talking about you being fixed. Now, have you always been to herbal works, or was your dad into medicine, or what was that influence as far as like
My children,
your children? Oh yeah, and
yeah,
then the Ace of
both of my
Spades
daughters,
thing, Ace of Spades, Ace of Clubs.
Ace of Spades, Ace of Clubs, the first one. So I used to be a heavy cigarette smoker. I smoked
Mhm.
cigarettes probably since I was 14 until I got pregnant with my first daughter. And I was I was addicted. And I
I
think there
think
were
that's a
even,
heart. They have to really be careful about addictions. We talk about the
yes,
heart,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Mhm.
And so when I found out I was pregnant with my oldest, um, it was by far the easiest thing I've ever given up. And there were people my closest to me that were betting how long it would take until I'd pick it back up after I gave birth. I've never touched another
Those
cigarette.
people better than you.
Yeah, because that's how, I was a smoker. And I didn't like smoke in my house. I'd always smoked outside. I hated the smell. I really hated the smell of it. I hated it. It was gross. But I started young and got addicted. And when I found out I was pregnant with her, I remember and I'll be very transparent. The first thing I did was smoke a cigarette because I'm like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. And but I was like, oh no, I can't do this. Like, I can't. I felt like I instantly felt like bad, but I was real nervous because I was pregnant. So
Mhm.
I, gave the cigarettes to my partner at the time, and I was like, look, I gotta be done with these. I may ask for one or two just to get through, but I don't want these. And I think I smoked one more, and it made me so sick. I've never ever touched another cigarette a day in my life.
Mhm.
So that's really telling. The Ace of Spades is my daughter, right? And I've always said, you transformed me. Like, you
Mhm.
saved me because that wasn't healthy. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like, that'll kill you. So I always tell her, you saved me. And I grew up. Like, I, really had to grow up. I let go of a lot of the bad habits I was doing at that time. And she transformed me. And I wouldn't say I got really down the health rabbit hole for myself, but for her, I was really big about what she ate. But I got even worse with my second daughter.
Mhm.
Like 8 years later, I got pregnant. I had my second daughter, and she's the Ace of Clubs, and that's when I really went down the health rabbit hole, and really transformed. And so much so, as you know, I have Dope Minerals. I created a whole business that helps people heal. So with my products, so my children are what transformed me completely.
And especially like his aces, the spades are especially heavy into health. I
Yep.
have it in Mercury. I definitely have my health story as far as like why I changed my diet. You know.
Yeah, I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. Um, you know, that's why I've always said these, like, getting into these cards, and I mean, I think I've talked about it before, that year that I actually got pregnant with her, the Ace of Spades was my transformation card. So,
Oh
you
wow.
know, yeah, I was at, that. So to me, there's, can't ever question any of it anymore. Bless you. Um, so yeah, it's very, very powerful.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the cards and cardology. It's so interesting. Like it's like I was talking to someone last night about relationships, and I went to the 7 year spread. Which one do you look at, the 7 or 13 year spread as far as relationships
I
or
mean,
longevity?
I look at everything. There's really not.
Nothing you don't look
I
at.
go deep. I unpack a lot of the layers because you can, like I said, I really follow the patterns and I like to look, I do, I'll look in spreads and like, okay, who are the cards that have nines in Pluto? Who have a nine in Saturn? And I tend to see like the different, like what, and a lot of times you'll see it's the same cards, or the same expression. And so when I look for relationships, like in my own 7 year spread, I could see I had a lot of Queen of Hearts energy, and that's when I birthed my second daughter. So
Mhm.
you can see a lot. I mean, there's not a plate I don't look at.
Mhm. Especially that Queen of Hearts is key. Oh man, I was talking to someone last year, and they had a Queen of Hearts and Neptune,
Mhm.
and I don't even think they really digested the how powerful that Queen of Hearts is,
Mhm.
but it came to fruition. So
They have a
um
baby.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
they are planning on having one, I think sometime this year.
Wow.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. So yeah, it was like really interesting. I'm like trying not to tell a lot of
Right.
their business. I didn't say their name, and you know how people are
Right.
sensitive, but I
Yeah.
never say like people names or nothing like that. But just that Queen of Hearts, just in general, I've seen it like really show up as far as like you getting pregnant or having a kid.
Mhm.
It's happened a couple of times.
And just this week, it's my Venus card this week, and on that day, I actually had to go, and me and my Ace of Spades went to on a college. Like I was mama. I had to go
Mhm.
down and be with her. That's the day we had the visit.
Oh wow, okay,
Yeah.
that's dope.
So I
Yeah.
mean,
And then it has the 10 of clubs in Mercury, so this is
uh-huh.
like education, higher education.
Expanding your. That's what we did. We literally sat at the college for 5 hours, watching practice, talking to the coaches. It was. So I mean, that's why these cards don't lie, y'all. They don't
That's
lie.
why you gotta look at your dailies. Your dailies like blow my mind. We was in Aquarius Maximus class, and we're talking about hindsight is 2020 when it comes to the cards. And as far as learning, and as far as like really learning the essence of the cards and who they are, and the energy behind it and the karma behind it, you can see it in your daily cards.
Mhm.
I know sometimes I post on Instagram about the day card, the card of the day,
Mhm.
because I think is like a universal energy. Sometimes I go back and forth between me and my Gemini, like mine, as far as like what I want to believe and what I don't want to believe. As far as like, because there's like, how you have astrology and universal astrology, but I'd be so focused on myself, maybe my Ace of Spades making me selfish in my studies, but I'd be so focused on myself, it's like I don't want to like even look at the universal energy sometimes, because you can get so much from yourself. Like if you don't
Yeah.
have yourself figured out, it's like why
How
does
can you look at the other, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
like it
Mhm.
doesn't even matter,
Because
what's
it's gonna, and that's what I tell my clients, because you know, um, when it comes to like how can I learn the cards, how can you teach the cards, I tell people like the best way to learn is to experience them through your own day-to-day life, paying attention to what your daily card is. There's apps. Aquarius has a phenomenal app, like you can get all your cards, your spread. If you just pay attention to the energy, these cards will show up and show out, and you'll be like, oh my god, because now you have a real life, like understanding, because it applied to you.
Mhm.
I tell this story all the time, and it just because it changed my perspective on, because for me the nines have been some of the biggest challenging energy to understand, to really embrace. And I remember a few years ago when I first started, and I was using the daily app, the app to get my cards. for the day. And I remember that day I had a 9 of diamonds as my daily card. And I was like, oh no, I
Oh,
don't want to lose money. Like, I
mhm.
don't want to lose money. Like, shit, I don't want to lose money. So I went about my day. And that day, my youngest daughter lost her first baby tooth. And we were in the car. And she's like, look, mom. She takes it out of the little thing that they put it in and puts it in my hand. And I'm like, yay. And I go and I give it back to her. And it drops. And it drops. Not does it not just drop, but it drops in between the buckle, in the seat buckle. You know, I
Mhm.
spent like 3 hours trying to get that damn tooth out my car. And so I didn't lose money, but I lost something of value. Her first baby tooth, it's still in the car because I couldn't get it.
It's still
It rides around with us. So,
it's
but
a total,
it made me look at that energy so different because that's how I experienced the 9 of diamonds that day. You know,
mhm.
somebody else might not lose a tooth when they have a 9 of diamonds day,
Mm.
right? But
I
me,
lost my car key
see,
in the car. eh, Not a diamond, seven of spades, Mercury, right in the car
oh wow.
accident. You know, so I was with someone that came to, and they was like, "Come downstairs. I need to get in. I need to get in the garage." So I go downstairs. It was like a couple of months ago, whatever, a month ago, and I went downstairs, let them into the garage, and I get into their car and my key falls out of my pocket in the car. I don't know where it fell. It fell somewhere. I can't even say it fell. I thought it fell in the car, but actually I lost it. So it didn't fall. But I always lose stuff in that car. But I lost it on the way down to her car, like within 5 to 10 minutes. Like I'm like, how the freak did I lose that? And I remember, I always remember Darren telling me, "You always lose stuff, don't you? You have somewhat of a forgetful memory. Maybe not financially, but because you have those two nines, 9 of clubs, 9 of spades, and Uranus and Neptune." I was like, "Yeah, yeah." And then that day, I had the 9 of diamonds, and I totally lost the key, and I was like, "Oh, all right." So I have to pay for it. I actually lost money because it's the key. I had to go and spend money and buy
Yep.
another key.
And being Mercury, that would be cars, travel, short trips with the 7 of spades. Like that's you can't even make that up.
I know you
Can't
can't.
even make that up. So that's great for people listening and watching this. Like, you know, I remember when I first got in this, I would be, oh no, the nines. Oh no, oh no, oh no. You know, like you're gonna lose, lose, lose. But it's not that. You have to change your mindset around that. Like, and it doesn't always mean money, doesn't always mean a relationship is gonna end, doesn't always mean like, you know, you're gonna lose your mind with the 9 of clubs or, you know, anything like that. But I'm grateful for that experience because it showed me how differently the energy can show up and rather than what I had set on my mind, you know, of how it could
Mhm.
show up. So that's the best way I feel like to learn the cards, obviously have someone, you know, guide you, but really pay attention to how it shows up for you in your life and your day-to-day experience. Because then you can go and maybe help others break it down or how, what I always like to say, make it make sense. Um, you know, that helps because that was a big aha moment for me that, you know, it doesn't always equate to money, paper money, you know what I mean? There's something
And
valued.
and just paying attention as well. I
Yeah.
think the seven is called seven of spades make you pay attention.
Yep.
Also, you know, being aware, being in the now, in the moment.
Yep.
I always talk about the nines being concerned about the past, present, and future. You know, so it could have been thinking or over. I won't say overthinking, but you know, the nines deals with extremes a lot of times. You know,
Mhm. I can
so
take it to an extreme for sure.
Mhm. But that just did with a sense of excitement, you know, as
Yeah.
well. Like you said, it was a very monumental moment. So
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure a lot of things, and that's the Pluto to the 5 of hearts. So you know,
Mhm.
um, it's-
Mhm.
um, but overall, as far as the 5 of hearts, and let me see what else I wanted to kind of look at. Was there anything else that you thought about? I know we're kind of like whenever we
Which is
it
perfect.
was like a full circle, right?
Which is perfect for the five energy. It literally is like a you know, a ping pong machine, like ding 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 ding.
We gave away a lot without giving away a lot. I always say
Right.
like we do. Like I always think about Neil like y'all would give away the whole the whole roast for free if you could.
And we could be here all day, Rashad. We'd have people. I mean, we could teach like nobody's business. I could do this. I could literally do this all day. Um, I do it all day actually, and I love it. And I love it. Like I love helping people with this stuff because it's helped me so much, and it makes sense. Like my story of the magnesium and how it changed my life, and I created products with magnesium in it so I could help others. Now the same thing with the cards. I got the cards came to me, I came to them, whatever, and they've changed my life. And so now I help people. I do readings on a regular basis because I love helping people understand just a basic of who they are, their energy, and hopefully they take it and go out and really operate from that highest expression, because that's the better place to be, right? So yeah, Five of Hearts, just you gotta trust your heart. I think any of these hearts, right? It's funny, I was talking to a client yesterday, and it's really interesting. People who are not hearts, when they have a lot of heart in their spreads, they're like, whoa. And I'm like, I know.
It is.
Like,
This is like if you pay attention to your dailies or like a certain time period. Yeah, it is a lot of emotions, attraction. And
I
also
call
there's
it
a
Rico. It is Rico Suave energy all day long.
well,
You'll have people eating out your hands, and you'll be like, why is everybody like all on? I'm like, and I don't mean like, look, my kids have experienced this like firsthand. We'll be at the store, and y'all, I'm all about comfort. I'm probably in like yoga pants and a shirt, a hat. I'm always wearing a hat. And my kids will be like, do you know this person? Because random people just come and talk. Like there's a draw to that heart energy. It really is. It's not about being, aesthetically, it's an energy that you put out. And a lot of times when my clients have a lot of heart, they're like, man, all the love that is around, or the energy that's around, and especially if you're not comfortable in that space, or you're not emotionally secure, it can be a lot. It can be a lot of feels. I was just telling somebody yesterday that I I feel so much. Sometimes I'm not sure if it's mine or somebody else's. I really can pick up on people's feelings, and my whole like it's been something with me, and I never knew what it was until I got to the cards. So now I have I really do a lot to like make sure I'm clearing my energy. When I do like readings, I clear myself, because it's a lot of emotion. I'm a heart. I'm a jack of hearts, so it can be overwhelmingly. Sometimes I remember like maybe like a month or so ago, I was going through like a more emotional time, and I was like, I don't want to. I'm tired of feeling so like I like make it stop. Like remember, I think we were chat like in the chat, like I don't want these feelings no more, because it can be very overwhelming. It really can, and you feel so deeply, and so. But I've learned it's also my superpower. So if I can really learn how to, um, tap into the emotions, and they're not a bad thing, and really trust what I feel, I won't be steered wrong. So I think for this heart energy, for people, it really is about allowing yourself to feel first and foremost. It's not a bad thing, right? And to really go within, and with the Five of Hearts, this is really like freeing your heart from like the shackles, the chains that you, or the wall that you've put around it, and letting go.
yeah.
Because
You have the
really,
house travel. You have
yeah,
to experience life with that type of energy, like you
yeah,
said. And it's Venus Saturn, so I
yeah,
always think about how like it can't live under restricted um restrictive setting, especially with the Five of Hearts. It's like love and money, and then
mhm,
also the responsibility taking care of the home. But if your emotions and all those things aren't there, it's not going to be able to withstand the time,
yeah,
or withstand the pressure of and responsibility that comes with that Saturn energy. you know.
Right. And it doesn't want to be boxed in. You know what I mean? I feel like the five of hearts doesn't want to be boxed in, even though it's has that four of diamonds
Four
as a
diamonds,
challenging
yeah.
karma card. But it there's that sense of
And
being
that's
able
a
to be
conflict.
free.
That's why it's a challenge.
Right. Exactly.
Mm.
Right. Right. It can't run from the feelings. You know what I mean? Like that's the biggest thing. It can't run from it. It has to trust its heart. It has to trust what it feels so that it can explore, so that it can free itself. But it also needs to have that clarity that, and execute all the other, things that are happening. But you don't want to lock yourself up, right, in that energy either, too. You really it is a very strong passion. It bursts. It can be a river of emotions too. So it's learning how to rein it in and mature, because those nines are asking you to mature. To shed the restlessness, to really allow and to really be free.
But that's hard. You know, you have a nine in Mars and a nine in Pluto.
Very
That's
hard.
double Mars, a nine in Mars and a nine in Pluto. Like as
It's
far
not
as
easy. But if you look at the five, there's I think like the five of clubs has the nine of spades in
like
Pluto. So that that's the things. Those are the things I look at. Like what are the cards that have the nines in Pluto? So the five of clubs has the nine in Pluto. I think the five of spades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No.
Mercury, Venus. I mean, Venus, Mars. So the five of spades, that's one thing Aquarius is talking about. The changes that happen with the five of spades can be like drastic. Has that nine
Yes.
of spades in Mars. The ace of spades has the what makes it emotional changes kind of drastic. Has the five of spades in Mars. So anything with those spades, like the ace of clubs has the five of spades in Mars and the five of spades in Pluto. So yeah, like you said, the patterns. You
Hmm.
can see the drive, the emotional force that comes with those
Hmm.
particular energies, but can make it be seemingly unstable, or push their emotional extremes as well that comes with that particular card.
Yep.
And Anina always talk about those particular cards being somewhat like autistic. It has the five of clubs. The attention span, that comes with those particular cards can be kind of short.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
like squirrel. You get it can be very distracting, very busy. But that's so here's the thing with those nines and Pluto. You have to know it's like a current. When one current goes out, it inevitably comes back in, right? Because nines are cycles. So if it's one is ending, what does that mean? When we go back around, something else is coming back. So that's having a lot of faith, a lot of trust that it's going to come back. But like I said, the nines are the light at the end of the tunnel, and you either will stay in the tunnel or you'll want that light. And the light is like to get to the light, you have to let go. And that's a big, because if you see when you like when you're looking in spreads, those fives and nines are usually traveling together for very good reason, because like I said, the fives are the spark that is going to bring the growth that then initiates the let go, the shedding of the skin, so that you can then eventually have more.
mhm. And what we do is name like artists and certain things and certain people. They're very good as far as like real estate investing, like the nine of diamonds and letting go of the
Mm-hmm.
money. You know,
You don't spend in fear. It's going to make you
Mhm.
more.
Yeah, and like you said, the financial solidarity is like right around the corner if you're trusting.
Yes.
Financial freedom that can come from you investing. Investing your emotions and your time into the things that you love to do. Like you
Yep.
said, with those hearts, they follow their emotions. A lot can come back, but nines are investments. Like you said, you got to invest your time and focus within those. Those are like long journeys. I feel like so it's like you can't think about the now. It's all about the future when it comes to those particular cards, and they especially Mars Uranus at nine of diamonds is thinking into the future.
Yeah.
So the emotional restlessness that comes with that card, and like I said, it's very symbolic of that Ace of Diamonds because they have it in Venus in their
Yep.
love life.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's I personally, because the five of spades is the card that is behind me for life. Five energy is I thrive in chaos. I do. I love spontaneity. It's like I don't mind. I've moved. I love different sceneries. Like I kind of need it because I feel like it's what gives me that creative, spark or spunk, right? I love diversity. I don't like to stay the same. So I'm always shifting too, and that's the jacks. The jacks are, they're able to shift, from you don't never know what you're gonna get. It's Dr. Jekyll,
Mhm.
Mr. Hyde sometimes. Multiple personalities because I think those fives
Right.
are close to the jacks. So gives them that, like you can be, I've always said, because I was in the hospitality industry majority of my life before I have my business. And I've always jokingly said before I even knew anything about these cards that I was an underpaid actor, so
Of course, a jack would say the jack of all trades, like you said, the spontaneity, get adapted to your scenario or scene.
yeah, I fit in. Like you can put me with any group of people, any color of people, any group of people, I will fit in. You'd be like, you've been here this whole time. Like, yes, I have. I know how to. And you, because I'm that, I can also then. It's almost like I realize, like I think a lot of times too with the Jack of Hearts, it's an intense energy, and sometimes people, because it's just a reflection, that sometimes it scares people.
Yeah, the mimicry. But that's your reward. The two of diamonds, jack of spades, being able
Mhm.
to mimic. And the five of hearts has the jack of clubs and Neptune.
Yep.
You
You
so
see, though, they go like there's a lot of you see them travel together. Mhm.
mm,
For reason,
mm,
and you know why? Like it makes sense to me now. It really makes sense because the fives, like I said, they're the spark. They are what it lights, and now it's like, okay, it's a catalyst to everything kind of going into motion to get you to that more. But
mm,
you have to go through the tunnel, the dark, all of the stuff, and let
mm.
go. And if we're holding on or attached and we're not willing, because to me the fives want to grow.
Growth. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Steady
Mm-hmm.
growth, and it's a steady growth. Something that may not happen fit quick or fast. It's a steady growth.
Exactly.
And you have to kind of hold on to your reins because it's
It's
a
a
rough
it's a
ride.
ride. And I've always said too, it's a current, right? You're floating, like the fives is like going down a whitewater raft,
Hmm.
and you kind of bounce off a rock and you spin around a little bit. You may go in a different direction, or maybe you end up stuck for a minute, and you gotta have to push off that rock and go, flip your direction, your path. But if you resist it, if you try to paddle up that stream, you're gonna die. You're gonna
Yeah,
exhaust yourself. You're gonna overexert yourself. You're gonna stress yourself out, and you're gonna be tired. And you're going. You're resisting the current. You're resisting the flow. Hence why it has the 9 in Pluto.
yeah. Like financial changes, letting go, like quitting that job, just letting it all go. And I'm saying like this is maybe the end. I may have to just invest into myself. I may have
Mm-hmm.
to change homes. I may want a bigger or better house. You worry about if you can financially afford it. What can you do, or what's the proper changes to maybe bring in more income? Step out on the ledge, speak a little bit more, talk a little bit more. Wherever it may be, wherever that change may be, emotionally, financially. The fives are going to force it.
Yeah.
Definitely going to force it. But I don't want to keep us too late. I do
I know
have
we
to.
got it. We both have to go. So,
Yeah.
but this was great. You'll catch us here on Thursday mornings, um, talking about probably the weekly energy and everything in between.
I don't know if we say, but that is the energy of the week. The way these is progressive, starts from the Ace of Hearts to the King of the Spades, or at the end,
End of the
right, at
year.
the end of the year. So
Mhm.
um, we're going to try to progress out maybe some written and some other content. I know Gina has her weekly. You do weekly reads of the energy, or monthly, or how do you do it?
For my clients, I do weekly recorded readings for them. I break down the transits in their weekly spread via the cards. So it's
Mhm.
really dope to that really gives you, more insight. And that to me is one of the best ways to learn, because you're on a day-to-day basis understanding the energy that's with you.
And that's a personal like spread,
Yeah.
personal weekly spread.
I don't go, yeah, I do their birth card. I read from both their birth card and their planetary ruling card together, because you see so much in both those spreads.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
Mhm.
So we have personal weeklies, and then there's every like day of the week or
Right.
month, week
Collectively, universally, that we're all going through. Yeah.
that we're going through as well. So that's very in depth as well, like I said, because you really get to see like your daily cards. That's your weekly spread is that's what your daily cards are based upon.
Mhm.
So every 7 days you have 7 sets of cards. There's going to be a weekly card or a daily card. I was talking about my tour clubs and me not and made me have to watch my mouth a little bit today. Um, and getting aggravated. And it has those King of Hearts, so your emotional control. So you really get to see the energy of the day, or the week. Even like certain people may pop up. I know Gina was talking about the last time we was here about how she seen what was it, Queen of Clubs, or what was the card?
Six of clubs.
Six of Clubs. Yeah,
Yeah.
out and about on her daily card was the Six of Clubs.
And
So
on my Uranus day at that, like out of the blue,
I was,
neither one of us knew we were going to be there. And so walk up and there she was, the Six of Clubs. On my daily card was the Six of Clubs, in Uranus. So it was like, these cards don't lie. And that's the thing, like, doing those weekly spreads for people. I record it. I don't talk to it. It's a recorded reading, and I send it to them right before their week starts, so they have an insight of the energy that's going to be around. Obviously, they choose how to move through it, but it's really dope, because you kind of have an idea of what can show up, and then you are learning through it each day, because you're hearing it, you're aware of it, and you really pay attention, and I feel like you don't resist. You really do lean into it more, because you're like, oh, that's right, I have that 9, so I know I have to let go, and knowing that ahead, like, okay, I can. Whereas before, if you didn't know, you're like, what's happening?
yeah, you may think be something come up like a good business idea, or like what do I need to invest in, and it's like and you think of it on the 9 of diamonds day, you like why am I trying to talk against what I really need to do,
Right.
my real purpose and
What are
what
you afraid of? What are you holding on to? What are you afraid of letting go of? What are you afraid of this? Like, that's the thing I've learned is, fear is a big part of what holds us back. When we see those sevens, the sevens, instead of,
I was just going to say that the 7 of spades Mercury for the 9 of diamonds that
yep,
feel.
yep. And so those sevens and nines travel together for that specific reason. The sevens expose your fear, not to punish you, not to hurt you, but so you can see why am I afraid? And that 9 is right there to say, let that go. Let it
Mm-hmm.
go. So when you really lean into that, you won't
Mm.
walk in fear anymore. You'll walk in faith.
Yo, it's like so deep. This like, oh gosh, because these energies, these people will tell you this. Like when you're in certain states and points of your life where you questioning things, and you can take offense.
Mhm.
And you may not like the way they say it,
Mhm.
but the truth hurts sometimes.
Mhm. But I feel like too, and not because the sevens have really taught. I mean, I've had sevens in my spread these last few weeks, and I'm like, wow. But what I've been and I actually I talk to myself a lot. And on the way home from dropping my daughter off at school, I thought about it. I'm like, you've grown so much, because the biggest thing I think is being aware of that talk in your head. Like, why do I go to the lack, to the fear? It's not the other person, it's not what they did, it's how I'm responding to it. And so why am I responding to it this way? And it, once again, that dark night of the soul is like looking at yourself. Why? Like, so if you say, let's say, you're getting to know somebody, right, and you're communicating a lot, and maybe they don't do something or whatever. I'm just hypothetically speaking something, and you respond in a way, and instead of blaming them for what they did or didn't do, I had to be like, why am I responding this way? You know what I mean? And the sevens will make you bring it back down to the now, get in the moment, Am I creating this scenario in my head? Am I creating this dialogue in my head? And what basis am I creating it on? I mean, I literally have done all this in my head.
When you can get to that point, that's like you stepping into those lines of self mastery, right?
Yes, because one thing these cards and our, teachers have taught us is it's you. And until you really, and here's the thing, like, I used to, like, you don't beat yourself up. The biggest thing is just being aware of it. And
Mhm.
then that's the work. Okay. So I, like, even yesterday, my mind, the monkey mind, right, going kind of like out of whack. Instead of sitting here and looking at these cards and trying to, like, and I went and got into my body. Like, I went and did I stretched, I took myself out of my head and into my body and breathed and connected. And then I was like, yo, you tripping. You straight up in your whole head causing scenarios that aren't even happening. It's you. So,
Mm, that's
but
you.
it's
Mhm.
just being, the first step of that is being aware,
Mm,
paying attention to the things that you're thinking, and why am I thinking like this, and where is that coming from? And I promise you, you do, like, unpack that, and you'll change your life.
mm.
You'll change your life.
I was looking at someone was speaking the other day. Aquarius was talking about. She was like, "This is like the causes. These things are like for the people that can be stuck or can go into they're not going into the extremes, but they're in the middle, are still like fighting against themselves, And we're
Mhm.
human. We all go
Of
through those
course.
stages, because I always say like we came in this life without the keys or without the answers of why.
Hmm.
Once you figure out the why and understanding those things, it's easier to defeat the mind as far as those negative parts of yourself, that can kind of hold you back from the growth, from the doubt and the fear, because those things are natural. It's
Right.
inevitable for everyone. And I think just being honest with ourselves is like the first step. I am fearful. I may be in a lack of mentality. Some people get over it naturally, but then some people, me, I've had to find out a deeper meaning of life and everything else, and see the patterns for myself to really understand, like, okay, it is me. Okay, I
Hmm.
just don't have like bad luck, or maybe I just, there are certain things, or this is why a person is acting in this particular manner, because they're resonating with this side of the energy. you know
Hmm.
so yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm. But like she said, we can be out there.
And you see, we were supposed to end it like 5 minutes ago, and here we've kept going. So we'll end it now, though, because I do have to go, and I know you have to go. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Hi to the people in the chat, and thank you. We're, just starting this here. This is our second week of doing it. You can catch us here on Thursday mornings. And please ask questions. We don't mind. We love it. That'll keep us going even more. And we also do a clubhouse room on Tuesday evenings, if you want to get some more insight. Um, these cards are um, a beautiful tool to help you, and I'm grateful. I'm so very grateful for them, and the space that I'm in, and if I can help others, that's a big part of who I am. So I love it. I love you. Thank you for doing this with me. I don't like doing the whole camera thing, so um,
Me either. So
I know.
we were both like us on camera, whatever.
I know. And here we are. So,
um,
Rashad, have a great day. And I'm
um,
sure I'll talk to you soon.
all right, talk to you later. Have a nice one. Thank y'all for showing up and showing out.
Peace. Peace, peace, peace. How do I get out of here?